Namaskar, good evening. You are watching Rajya Sabha Television. I am Smriti Rastogi with News Tonight. Let's begin the bulletin with the top headlines. Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman refutes AK Antony's charge, says that UPA had excluded HAL from Rafale deal, denies need for Joint Parliamentary Committee probe, Centre approves Made in India defence equipment worth 9,100 crore. Government focusing on developing Varanasi as medical hub of Eastern India, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Launches development projects worth 557 crore rupees, including the Atal Incubation Centre to boost startups and the Vedic Vigyan Kendras at the Banaras Hindu University. Cooperation between India and Bangladesh is an example for the world, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Jointly unveils Bangladesh Friendship Pipeline and the Dhaka-Tongi-Joydepur railway project with Sheikh Hasina. On day 2 of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh conclave in Delhi, Mohan Bhagwat asserts that RSS is guided by national interest and not by politics. Says Sangh firmly believes centre of power should remain as envisaged in the constitution. And Delhi court summons Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia and 11 other MLAs as accused on 25th of October takes cognizance of offences in connection with the case of alleged assault of Delhi Chief Secretary Anshu Prakash. Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday wrapped up his two-day visit to his Lok Sabha constituency Varanasi. He launched development projects worth over 550 crore rupees there. Addressing a gathering at Banaras Hindu University, the Prime Minister highlighted development efforts being carried out by the centre and the state government in the district. On the second day of his two-day visit to his Lok Sabha constituency, Varanasi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Tuesday inaugurated and laid foundation stones of various development projects. Addressing the gathering at the amphitheatre of Banaras Hindu University, the Prime Minister said the centre will develop BHU as the medical hub of Eastern India.
बदलाव के इस संकल्प को लेकर निकले थे तब और आज में अंतर स्पष्ट दिखाई देता है। आज एक और विद्युत उपकेंद्र का शिलान्यास भी किया गया है। जब ये तैयार हो जाएगा तो आसपास के बहुत बड़े क्षेत्र को कम वोल्टेज की समस्या से छुटकारा मिलेगा। वाराणसी को पूर्वी भारत के गेटवे के तौर पर विकसित करने का भरसक प्रयास हो रहा है।
The Prime Minister inaugurated the Atal Incubation Centre, laid foundation stone for Vedic Vigyan Kendra at BHU. The projects are worth 557 crore rupees. Addressing the people in Varanasi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said his government is trying tirelessly for the development of the city to make it the gateway to Eastern India. Prime Minister said his endeavour is to transform Kashi while keeping its traditions intact and preserving its age-old heritage.
550 करोड़ रुपए से ज्यादा रकम के प्रोजेक्ट का या तो लोकार्पण हुआ है या फिर शिलान्यास हुआ है। हम काशी में जो भी बदलाव लाने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं वो उसकी परंपराओं को संजोते हुए उसकी पौराणिकता को बचाते हुए किया जा रहा है। आइए हम पूरे समर्पण के साथ बनारस में हो रहे परिवर्तन के इस संकल्प को और मजबूत करें, नई काशी, नए भारत के निर्माण में आगे बढ़कर अपना योगदान दें। आपने भले मुझे प्रधानमंत्री पद का दायित्व दिया हो, लेकिन मैं एक सांसद के नाते भी आपको मेरे काम का हिसाब देने के लिए जिम्मेवार हूं।
The Prime Minister also underlined that the government's endeavour is to link Kashi with world-class infrastructure. The administration has got rid of the thick mesh of wires overhead, which used to be a common sight earlier. Cruise rides have also come up in the Ganga River, assisting the growth of tourism in the city. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. And India and Bangladesh on Tuesday formally inaugurated the construction of India-Bangladesh Friendship Pipeline and dual-gauge rail lines. The projects were launched by Prime Ministers of India and Bangladesh in New Delhi and Dhaka via video conferencing. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Bangladeshi counterpart Sheikh Hasina jointly flagged off the construction of the India-Bangladesh Friendship Product Pipeline project via video conferencing from New Delhi and Dhaka simultaneously. The 130-kilometer pipeline will connect Siliguri in West Bengal and Parbatipur in Dinajpur district of Bangladesh. The project is likely to be completed in 30 months and is estimated to cost 346 crore rupees. The project will replace the existing practice of sending diesel by rail.
Pipeline connecting Siliguri terminal in India to Parbatipur will change the diesel supply landscape in northern Bangladesh. The pipeline will put in place a sustainable, reliable, eco-friendly and cost-effective way of transporting diesel to Bangladesh. It will significantly reduce transportation time and remove losses and pilferage. The project will need 30 months for completion.
Both leaders also inaugurated the construction of the third and fourth dual-gauge rail lines in Dhaka-Tongi and Tongi-Joydevpur sections of Bangladesh Railway.
ভারতের শিলিগুড়ি হতে বাংলাদেশের পার্বতীপুর পর্যন্ত বাংলাদেশ ভারত ফ্রেন্ডশিপ পাইপলাইন নির্মাণ প্রকল্পের ভিত্তিপ্রস্তর স্থাপন এবং ঢাকা টঙ্গী সেকশন তৃতীয় চতুর্থ ডুয়েল গেজ লাইন এবং টঙ্গী জয়দেবপুর সেকশনের ডুয়েল গেজ डबल लाइन निर्माण কাজের উদ্বোধন।
भौगोलिक रूप से हम पड़ोसी देश हैं, लेकिन भावनात्मक रूप से हम परिवार हैं। एक दूसरे के सुख दुख में साथ देना, एक दूसरे के विकास में हाथ बटाना, ये हमारे पारिवारिक मूल्यों की ही देन है। पिछले कुछ वर्षों में हमारे सहयोग ने विश्व को दिखाया है कि यदि दो पड़ोसी देश ठान ले तो क्या कुछ किया जा सकता है। चाहे दशकों पुराने सीमा विवाद हो या विकास सहयोग के प्रोजेक्ट्स, हमने सभी विषयों पर अभूतपूर्व प्रगति की है।
India and Bangladesh have entered into an agreement for the construction of the pipeline in April this year. The capacity of the pipeline will be 1 million metric tons per annum. The 6-kilometer Indian leg of the pipeline project will be implemented by the Assam-based Numaligarh Refinery Limited, and the remaining 124 kilometers of the pipeline project will be implemented by Bangladesh Petroleum Corporation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV. On to some more developments. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley has called for blending subsidy with investment to improve farm sector growth and make it sustainable and self-sufficient. He said formalization of the economy has started showing visible results in terms of higher resource mobilization, leading to additional resources in the hands of the government. He also said that India has grown at a reasonable pace in the last quarter of a century and is growing much faster than the rest of the world.
There are various avenues of further generating this growth. There are regions in India which haven't grown well in the past, and therefore there is a growth amount of potential of investment there and growth potential there. In terms of gender, women getting into employment in much larger numbers is a scope for growth. Rural India next years, and has been happening in the past, the surplus from agriculture will get into other sectors of the economy.
Defence Minister Nirmala Sitharaman once again reiterated that the government was getting the Rafale fighter jets 9% cheaper than what was the UPA government had agreed upon. She also said that Hindustan Aeronautics Limited was dropped from the Rafale deal by the UPA government itself, as HAL and Dassault Aviation, the French firm that produces Rafale, could not concur on the production terms. Sitharaman was responding to allegations levelled by former Defence Minister A.K. Antony on the Rafale deal. Earlier, Antony had accused Sitharaman of suppressing facts on the deal and asked a joint parliamentary committee to investigate the matter.
It is your rule. You have given the option for the OEM to go and put his investment into any place, public sector or private. So do you say that your rule was wrong? Did you say वो क्या कहेंगे, मानेंगे कि प्राइवेट को भी ऑप्शन जो उनके सरकार के द्वारा रूल बनाया गया वो गलत है?
When one proposal to procure 126 was already there, without cancelling that, Prime Minister of the country went to France and announced a unilateral decision that we will purchase 36 aircraft from France.
The Supreme Court adjourned the hearing on a plea seeking a stay on the Rafale fighter jet deal between India and France. A bench of Justices Ranjan Gogoi, Naveen Sinha and K.M. Joseph postponed the matter till October 10th after petitioner, Advocate M.L. Sharma, told the bench that he wanted to file some additional documents in the case and sought an adjournment in the matter. In his petition, Sharma has alleged discrepancies in the fighter jet deal with France and sought a stay on it. And the Supreme Court today ordered a stay on a Patna High Court order asking the CBI Special Director to set up a fresh team to probe the Muzaffarpur shelter home sexual abuse case. Patna High Court had on August 29th ordered that a fresh team of investigators be constituted by the CBI Special Director in the case in which the incidents of alleged rape and sexual assault of women inmates over a period of time had come to light in an NGO-run shelter home at Muzaffarpur. A bench of Justices Madan B. Lokur and Deepak Gupta said changing the CBI team at this stage will be detrimental to the ongoing investigation. Attorney General K.K. Venugopal told the court that the existing probe team carrying out investigation was set up by the CBI director on 30th July. The top court also asked the probe agency to place before it the two status reports of the probe in the case, which were filed earlier before the Patna High Court, and listed the matter for further hearing on 20th of September. The Supreme Court on Tuesday stayed the death sentence awarded to a man convicted in the rape and murder of a 4-year-old girl in Madhya Pradesh. The Apex Court has issued a notice to the state government on the plea of the accused and sought a response. The 26-year-old accused was sentenced to death by the Shahdol District Court, a verdict later upheld by the Madhya Pradesh High Court. On May 13, 2017, the accused, Vinod, had raped a 4-year-old girl and later murdered her. Vinod was sentenced to death by the Shahdol District Court on 28th February this year. And with that, we'll head into a very short break. More news and updates on the other side. Stay with us.
Watch The Big Picture with me, Frank Rausen Pereira, at 9:30 p.m.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back. First ever India Tourism Mart concluded in New Delhi today. Around 225 international and domestic stakeholders from across the world participated in the three-day event that was organized by the Tourism Ministry in partnership with the Federation of Associations in Indian Tourism and Hospitality. Our correspondent Arvind Kumar Singh spoke exclusively to the General Secretary of Faith, who said that India has developed into a major tourist hub in recent years due to various initiatives taken by the government.
जब भारत की बात करते हैं पर्यटकों की, तो बहुत सारे ढांचागत जो सुविधाएं हैं उनकी कमी के साथ साथ बहुत सारे चैलेंजेज हैं। आपके हिसाब से उसको कैसे दूर करने की कोशिश है?
30 साल से हम कोशिश कर रहे थे वीज़ा ऑन अराइवल की, कि वीज़ा हो, ऑन अराइवल हो या ई वीज़ा हो। पहले हम पिछले प्राइम मिनिस्टर को भी मिले, सबको मिले, कुछ नहीं हुआ। लोग कहते थे यहाँ पर हम अरुण जेटली जी को और होम मिनिस्टर को एक बार मिले टूरिज़म मिनिस्ट्री के थ्रू, और पहले बजट में ही वीज़ा ऑन अराइवल इशू हो गया। आज 165 कंट्री से आप अपने घर में बैठे हुए वीज़ा ले सकते हैं भारत का। दूसरा ये है कि जैसे मैंने अभी कहा कि 3 मिनट के अंदर मिनिस्टर ने डिसीजन ले लिया इंडिया टूरिज़म मार्ट का। अब पिछले 60 साल में क्यों नहीं ऐसे हो सका? पहली बार हुआ है और पहली बार इंडस्ट्री भी इकट्ठी हुई है। अब जब हम इकट्ठे हो गए हैं तो जो ये टारगेट है 20 मिलियन टूरिस्ट का, 10 मिलियन से 20 मिलियन करना, ये बड़ा मुश्किल टारगेट नहीं है।
पूरे अगर दुनिया में देखें तो पूरी दुनिया का निचोड़ हमारे यहाँ है, लेकिन जो सिक्योरिटी, सेफ्टी, जो स्टेट्स का रवैया है इसमें किस तरह बदलने की?
देखिए, हर स्टेट के एक यूनिक सेलिंग पॉइंट है और हर स्टेट को आपस में कम्पीट करना चाहिए। तो इस तरीके से हर स्टेट अब कम्पीट कर रहा है आपस में। तो जब हर स्टेट कम्पीट करेगा, और आप देखिए ना, अगर 1-1 मिलियन भी हर स्टेट अपनी टूरिस्ट इंटरनेशनल बढ़ाए तो 20 मिलियन तो वैसे ही हो जाएंगे।
अगर आप दुनिया के हिसाब से देखें तो अभी हम कहाँ खड़े हैं, और जो एम्प्लॉयमेंट का जो पोटेंशियल आप बता रहे हैं वो अभी कितना है और किस तरह बढ़ने की ज़रूरत है?
इंडिया में इतना कुछ है, उसके मुकाबले में हमारे पास 1% भी वर्ल्ड की टूरिज़म नहीं है। और अगर हम अपने फिगर्स डबल कर लेते हैं तो हम 1.5 या 2% के लेवल पे आ जाएंगे। पर आने वाले दिनों में हम वर्ल्ड के नंबर 1 पे होने चाहिए। इसी उम्मीद के साथ हमने इंडिया टूरिज़म मार्ट करा है। पूरी वर्ल्ड से 800 बायर्स जो आए थे उनमें से हमने सिर्फ 250 सेलेक्ट करे हैं। तो मतलब जो बेस्ट हुज़ हू है, ये लोग वापस जाएंगे, ये भारत को बेचेंगे, और इससे रोज़गार भी बढ़ेगा और टूरिज़्म भी बढ़ेगा।
And some more news. A Delhi court on Tuesday summoned Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, his deputy Manish Sisodia and 11 Aam Aadmi Party legislators who are accused in the Chief Secretary Anshu Prakash assault case to appear before it on October 25th. The court issued summons to all the 13 accused and directed them to appear on 25th of October, saying there were sufficient grounds to establish the charges against them in the case. Prakash was allegedly assaulted during a meeting at Kejriwal's official residence on February 19th night. The Enforcement Directorate registered a money laundering case against Karnataka Minister D.K. Shivakumar and others on a case involving tax evasion and hawala transactions. The agency booked Shivakumar and others who was an employee at the Karnataka Bhavan in New Delhi, and also others under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. The case has been filed based on a charge sheet filed by the Income Tax Department against him early this year before a special court in Bengaluru. The agency is expected to summon the accused soon for the recording of their statements. The IT department has accused Shivakumar and his associate S.K. Sharma of transporting huge amount of unaccounted cash on a regular basis through hawala channels with help of 3 other accused. The IT department had alleged that all the 5 accused conspired to evade tax. Unaccounted cash of approximately 20 crore rupees was found and seized during raids in New Delhi and Bengaluru last August, which were directly relatable to Shivakumar. More than 600 people have died while cleaning septic tanks and sewers across the country in the past 25 years. According to our data released by the National Commission for Safai Karamcharis, 634 deaths related to manual scavenging have been reported since 1993, the year it was banned in the country. 194 people have died in Tamil Nadu since 1993, followed by Gujarat, Karnataka and Uttar Pradesh. 33 persons have died while cleaning septic tanks and sewers in Delhi since 1993. Since January 1st last year, on an average, one person has died every 5 days while cleaning sewers and septic tanks across the country. However, the total number of people employed in manual scavenging cannot be ascertained as the contractors who hire people for the jobs do not comply with the law. RSS Chief Mohan Bhagwat today asserted that the organization never asks its volunteers to work for any particular party, although it does advise them to back those working in the national interest. The comments by the RSS chief came on the second day of the 3-day conclave organized by the RSS. Bhagwat said there is a perception that RSS plays a key role in the functioning of a particular party, a reference to the BJP. He added that this is because of the presence of many of its workers in the BJP, but this perception is wrong. Mohan Bhagwat stated firmly that Sangh believes the centre of power should remain as envisaged in the constitution and that it considers it wrong if it is not so.
कौन राज्य करे ये तो चुनाव जनता करती है, परंतु कैसा चले राष्ट्रहित में, इस राष्ट्र नीति के बारे में हमारे मत है और हम पहले से बोलते हैं, सार्वजनिक रूप से बोलते हैं और जितनी शक्ति है उतना उसके अनुसार हो इसका प्रयास भी करते हैं। वो प्रयास हमारा लोकतांत्रिक रीति से ही होता है। संघ को राजनीति से परहेज है इसका मतलब वो घुसपैठियों के बारे में न बोले ऐसा नहीं है। वो ये सब राष्ट्रीय प्रश्न है, राजनीति की उसमें भूमिका है, प्रमुख भूमिका है, परंतु प्रश्नों के सुलझने का न सुलझने का परिणाम पूरे देश पर होता है। ऐसे विषय में संघ अपना मत रखता है।
And on the final day of his visit to Malta, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu visited various historical sites in the city. First, he visited St. John's Co-Cathedral in Malta's capital, Valletta. The cathedral was built by the Knights of Malta in the late 16th century. Later, he visited Upper Baraka Gardens that gives a panoramic view of the historical city of Valletta. His last stop was Mdina, also known as the Silent City. It once served as the capital of Ireland before Valletta was built. Vice President will be leaving for Romania later tonight. He will hold delegation-level talks with the heads of the state and will address the parliament there. India and Germany signed 2 government-to-government agreements relating to skill and dual vocational training. The agreement allows both the countries to recognize each other's diploma certificates. A joint body called German-Indian Institute of Vocational Education and Training will monitor the program. At a time when India is stressing skill development, the agreement will help young Indians to find opportunities in Germany. Germany is the fastest growing economy in the European Union and a technology giant. Collaboration of the kind envisaged in skill training will be useful for India in its positioning as a manufacturing hub.
It means that young people not only learn in the ITIs, but also learn on the job, in the companies, on the shop floor, and develop skills, manual skills. So dual education means it's learning at school and on the job. It is special because it's owned by the industry. It's not run by the government, it's owned by the industry.
So the kids spending some months in industry, actually working on the machines, actual machines, also earning some kind of stipend and getting on-the-job training. So that aspect we are trying to now simplify, and we are coming with guidelines in next 10 days, which should expand the scope of dual system of training in our ITIs. At the moment, not even 10% kids are really getting exposed to industry during the 2 years or 1 year stay with us.
The United Nations Interagency Group for Child Mortality Estimation has said that India continues to show impressive decline in child deaths. According to a new UNIGME report, about 8.02 lakh infant deaths were reported in India in 2017, the lowest in 5 years. The report added about 6,05,000 neonatal deaths were reported in India in 2017, while the number of deaths among children aged 5 to 14 years was 1,52,000. In 2016, India's infant mortality rate was 44 per 1,000 live births. UNICEF India's representative Yasmin Ali Haq said the efforts for improving institutional delivery, along with countrywide scale-up of special newborn care units and strengthening of routine immunization, have been instrumental towards this. She added that central government's Poshan campaign and national commitment to making India open defecation-free by 2019 are steps that will help in accelerating progress further. The 73rd session of United Nations General Assembly will open today in New York City with high-level dialogues scheduled for the next week. The first day of the high-level general debate will be on 25th September 2018 and is scheduled to last for 9 working days. On 26 September, the UNGA will hold a high-level meeting on the fight against tuberculosis as agreed by member states in February 2018. External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj will address the annual high-level UN General Assembly session on September 29th. The theme of the general debate will be making the United Nations relevant to all people, global leadership and shared responsibilities for peaceful, equitable and sustainable societies. The third summit between North and South Korea kicked off in Pyongyang today. The 2-hour-long first session of the talks were held in the headquarters of the North's ruling Workers' Party Central Committee with top leaders of North and South Korea. On the historic summit with US President Donald Trump, Kim Jong-un said that summit stabilized regional security and that he expected further progress at the Inter-Korean Summit, which is aimed at reviving stalled nuclear diplomacy. Earlier, South Korean President Moon Jae-in arrived in Pyongyang for a 3-day visit where he was greeted by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Both leaders also drove together through the streets of Pyongyang past thousands of cheering citizens. Kim praised the South Korean president for brokering historic Singapore summit between North Korea and the US in June. Moon's visit is the first by a South Korean president to Pyongyang in decades. It is also the two leaders' third meeting this year after previous summits in April and May. And US President Donald Trump on Tuesday slapped 10% tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports, escalating the trade war with the world's second largest economy. Trump alleged that China had been unwilling to change its unfair trade practices. He said the new additional tariff structure would give fair and reciprocal treatment to American companies. The tariffs on $200 billion worth of products comes on the top of $50 billion worth of products already taxed earlier this year. The next wave of tariffs, which are scheduled to come into effect on September 24th, will start at 10% before climbing to 25% on 1st January 2019. The move triggered a strong response from China, which threatened to retaliate with synchronized countermeasures. Beijing said America's move will add new uncertainties for future talks between the world's top two economies. And that's all we have for you in this edition of News Tonight. For more news and updates, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television. Namaskar.